What's up guys, KPlays here. Today I want to look towards the future. Monster Hunter Rise will be coming to us early next year, and with every new game comes a new version of our favorite weapons. New moves, new mechanics, buffs and nerfs, the works. We've seen a few bits and pieces of several weapons in the trailer so far, but we haven't seen anything from Hunting Horn just yet. The suspense is killing me, but it leaves us free to speculate in the time before we finally get our first look at our new tools. That's what this video is going to be about today. My wish list for Rise's Hunting Horn. There are a few things I'm hoping to see, and I think it'd be fun to put them out and see what ends up being close to what we actually get. With any luck, I might get some spot on guesses and speak some cool things into existence, or the real deal might be even better than what I'm expecting. Without any further delays though, let's get right into this list. This is the one entry on the list that's not 100% related to Hunting Horn, but it will affect us specifically. When it comes to solo hunting, Palico's added in an extra interesting variable. On the plus side, they can provide some helpful utility, free extra damage, and some nice assists every now and then if you're lucky. On the other hand though, the randomness they mix it to hunts works against you sometimes too. Monsters become less predictable with another target running around, and for every few times your partner saves your butt, there are a few where they'll kinda just leave you hanging. Why does that matter to Hunting Horn users in particular? Well, there's one main reason. When we bring our partners along, they're stronger than they would be with any other weapon class thanks to our song buffs. And whether that's just a simple fun fact or useful information depends on if your partners end up being valuable assets to you or just more trouble than they're worth. Rise is giving us the ability to bring 2 partners along in solo mode and 1 online even in a full team of 4 players, bringing the number of party members your songs will be boosting up to a grand total of 3 to 8. That'll give you a lot more bang for your buff, assuming that your team members, player controlled or not, are putting them to good use. On top of this, we also have the option to choose between our longtime partners the Palicos or the brand new Palamutes. Right now I'm pretty optimistic in this area. From what we've seen of the Palamutes so far, they stick close to the monsters and constantly attack, and that focus should result in more passive damage and less monster distraction for you during hunts. Personally, I'm currently leaning towards bringing along 2 Palamutes for my team, because the idea of leading a pack of hunting dogs into battle with my trusty horn signaling the charge is just too good to pass up on. Bonus points if we end up being able to play songs while riding a Palamute. That way they could double as an attack dog and a warhorse. If Palicos and Rise end up with useful supportive gadgets like they did in World and Iceborne, things might swing in their favor. Luckily, 2 partners in solo mode means that I can mix and match however I want. Fingers crossed that every combination ends up being good.
Each new land teaches us new things. Each new ally makes us stronger.
What makes a weapon choice really stick out to you? For some players it might be the unique abilities, for others it's how they stack up against other options in power, but for a pretty large group I've noticed it's what I call the cool factor. Some weapons have fancy eye-catching combos and big super attacks, while others are more straightforward. In my opinion, Hunting Horn can pull off some stylish moments with its simplistic moveset, but I do admit that a few fancy new moves would be nice to draw more attention to it. For those of you that don't know, Hunting Horn is partially based on the Japanese kanabo, which was a large metal club used by real samurai in mythological Oni. Throw in a video gamed up version of the real life Hunting Horns used to direct and rally a hunting party and you have everyone's favorite buffing and bashing machine. With Rise showing us some heavy Japanese themes in its designs, now would be a perfect time for Hunting Horn to get some martial arts inspiration from its real world counterpart. Sweeping combos, quick slapping strikes, more use of the hilt stab, there are tons of possibilities. Monster Hunter's version might be bigger and heavier than the real kanabo, but that doesn't mean we can't borrow some of its finesse and technique. Generations Ultimate had a few hunter art animations that show that Capcom can definitely get more creative with the way we handle our horns, so why not use some of that creativity to expand the normal moveset? The best part would be that a little extra showiness might draw in some players on the fence about picking up Hunting Horn, while those of us that have already embraced it will get some new offensive tools to play with. It's a win-win. Since we're talking about Hunting Horn's concept and design, we can't ignore the part that revolves around sound. Up until recent games, all that's really been used for is playing music that grants special effects to anyone that hears it, but then Generations added the Sonic Smash and we got our first offensive sound attack. World and Iceborne expanded on that by adding sound bursts on Recital hits, the Echo attack, and Echo Wave songs, but why stop there? Damaging with sound is something that's truly unique to Hunting Horn, so building on that could give it even more personality. Nothing says set Hunting Horn apart from its hammer cousins like letting it hit with nothing but high-frequency sonic waves, powerful vibrations, and ear-shattering loud noises. I have a few ideas that I'll share later on, but if you look at some side games, there are 2 perfect examples in Monster Hunter Online. A sonic blast that resonates through your horn and allows you to attack with echoes of the blast even if your hits don't physically connect, and another that you could send through the ground to unbalance monsters and make them easier to trip. Creative sound-based moves like those or something new would give us even more ways to leave monster ears ringing besides just smacking them in the skull. There's tons of potential here for special effects when you're not just hitting with a physical weapon. In the 5th gen games we see sound bursts adding additional quick hits that are also good for inflicting stun damage, and in Monster Hunter Online they go even further by attacking the senses or damaging anything within earshot. What could Rise possibly add to that list? Only time will tell. Hunting Horn's Recital mechanics feel great in 5th gen so far. Capcom did us a real solid by allowing us to slightly adjust our positioning, dodge cancel out of recitals, and stock up to 3 songs to play all at once or later when we want to. You're no longer locked in quite as hard if your positioning or timing are off when you're entering recital mode. That said, the seconds of idle dancing we have to sit through to activate our songs is something I'd probably still consider our main drawback. The animation has put many a new Hunting Horn user off the weapon because it leaves them stuck in place and vulnerable to punishes, and for the more experienced players it's empty time where we could be pumping out more damage or moving to a better position instead. The Hunting Horn Shuffle has been an iconic part of the weapon's character for years, and it's definitely something that can be worked around with practice, but I personally wouldn't mind it getting phased out in favor of something faster and more responsive. Past games have done this in a few neat ways already. Valor-style Special Recital in Generations Ultimate does away with the dancing animation in favor of a short and quick combo that immediately applies song effects without the usual idle frames. There was also a sliding dodge recital that you could use either after an adept dodge or through a hunter art. Both of these would make recitals a lot more streamlined, with the former making it easier to mix songs into combat and the latter giving us an evasive tool that doubles as a fast song activation. With the double note mechanic rewarding accuracy by both playing your current song and refreshing the last one you played if you hit the monster for every note you stock, Generations Ultimate Hunting Horn prided itself on some really efficient song management. Even with all that though, the title for best recital mode in my eyes has to go to another game, Monster Hunter Online, the Chinese spin-off from the main series by Tencent. In Monster Hunter Online, recital mode isn't stationary at all. They gave Hunting Horn the ability to break into a full-on sprint while playing songs. To sweeten the deal even further, you have the option to either encore your current song or use a new overhead swinging combo to queue up another, allowing you to move around while chaining together attacks and songs at the same time. Monster Hunter Online shut down at the end of 2019, so unfortunately that amazing version of Hunting Horn is no longer with us. In my opinion, every version of Hunting Horn from then on should have followed their example. I cross my fingers practically in knots with each new game that Capcom will finally follow in Tencent's footsteps on this, and with Rise seeming to lean heavily into increasing player mobility, it seems like a perfect time to do it. If you've seen footage from both games, you'll notice that Hunting Horn's mount finisher in World is practically a one-to-one match for the overhead flourish in Online, so there's at least a small possibility that they're willing to borrow things. Of course, I might be reading into that a bit too deeply, but a guy can dream, can he? Either way, when Rise comes out, I hope they take cues from one of the games before when it comes to building a better recital mode.
Whip and release and whip, release, whip and release. Your natural whip.
And finally, we've come to the end of the list. Generations and Generations Ultimate had a pretty fun iteration of Hunting Horn, but one area where they fell a bit flat were the unique hunter arts. Aside from the super move that took forever to charge so you couldn't even use it that often, we got 3 self buffs and that's it. Making it so that double notes activate on misses, playing all your songs at once but only for yourself, and turning your recitals into the dodge slides I mentioned before. Only that last one was a really attractive option, but you usually just ended up using the generic absolute dodge arts because the unique ones weren't all that useful. With Weapons and Rise combining the Wirebug into their moveset for hunter art like special moves, we have a second chance to get some that are better than the last time around. Hopefully whatever we get from the design team ends up being cool and useful in practice, but here are 3 ideas I'd want if I had the choice. The first and probably most likely of the 3 will be throwing out your Wirebug and then using a special recital attack as a realsy win. On the ground this move would slide through attacks if you time the evasion frames correctly, and if you swing into the air it could deal mounting damage instead. This could be a multi-purpose tool to quickly play songs while dashing or jumping into a better position. Judging based on a few Wirebug moves we've seen for other weapons so far, I'd actually be pretty surprised if we didn't get something along these lines for ourselves. Next up, I probably want something similar to the special echoing buff for Monster Hunter Online. The basic idea would be to use the vibrations of a bigger sound burst to deal lasting damage over time with smaller ones. To add some of Rise's Wirebug flavorings to it, we could attach strings to our horn and strum them like a harp. It would be pretty fitting for Hunting Horn to combine your bug and weapon to create a makeshift instrument like that. For a little while after that, the ringing tone in your horn would bounce through the weapon, adding extra sound bursts on your swings that would slowly fade away over time. A lot of the new mechanics in new games for Hunting Horn typically go towards making songs easier to maintain. While we're probably bound to get some more of those this time around, a good old offensive buff is always appreciated too. For my last move idea, we have a super ability of sorts that combines both of those aspects. Using up both of your Wirebug charges, you could create a temporary large web trap. Instead of sticking to monsters like you'd expect, this web would store the sound waves of any songs you play while it's active. The more songs you play, the more charges you build. If a monster touches the web, a string will snap, releasing a stored song with a burst of damage and an encore of the buff effect. Rinse and repeat until all the charges are expended or until the web naturally times out. Basically, it would be a more offensive version of the lingering echo bubble songs from Iceborne. This will be a great tool for making mid-battle recitals really pay off, and controlling the area with the minefield and music would be a ton of fun. Couldn't you just imagine using your horn to conduct a symphony of buffs and explosions all over some poor monster? If we were to get anything close to these abilities, I'd be one happy guy. Waiting to see what our latest shiny new addition would mean for Hunting Horn is killing me with suspense. Capcom could drop more trailers or weapon teaser videos any day now, so we may get to see Rise's iteration of Hunting Horn in all its musical glory soon. I know all of you are as hyped as I am, and probably even have wishlists of your own. I'll be looking out for the actual reveal to cover for you guys once it's here, and in the meantime I'll just be hoping that some of my guesses and ideas end up being accurate. While we wait, share some of your Hunting Horn wishlists, or your thoughts on mine down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you all might have come up with. Until we finally see the real deal though, this has been another KPlays, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.